Alright, so we got done just now watching a video by James about photojournalism. It was really interesting because a lot of the pictures and stuff he had I wasn't expecting to see. Um, but definitely did kind of help show what's going on in the world today. One of my favorite parts actually was how he kind of showed that racism even exists within certain groups, like other countries. Like he talked about like some of the genocide wars and stuff like that going on in other countries about, you know, black people picking on other black people. We got pictures from like Rwanda, which basically the I can't remember the two groups, the Hutus and the, do you remember? Anyways, over there in Rwanda, they're basically the same, what we call race, the same color, but they just kind of targeted each other and did terrible things, genocide, based on the idea that they were better than other groups or something like that. So I thought some of the pictures that he caught from that were kind of presented what was really going on over there, and some of the other things too.
One of my favorite pictures that stood out to me the most was the one about the guy who's crawling on the ground and he's basically a skeleton, and he's talking about, I don't remember exactly what he said, but going on about how if he can keep going, other people can keep going.
Yeah. That was a good picture?
I don't know, not good, but like
right.
Striking, I guess. Moving.
I guess what I felt, James, that I got from it was all these different photos across the world, that there's still inequality, not just in the United States, but every country is struggling with something, either race or ethnicity, or we see that there's still kids starving. And one of the photos, you saw several children from different countries that are starving, or there's famine, or they used famine, and they would slaughter their food supply, taken away from them so they would starve, as, war, mass destruction, as he related it. Never thought of it that way, as food, taking away their food supply.
I guess what was really interesting though to me is, we just got done talking about how media can kind of like perpetuate racism and things like that. I think what was cool with his photography is it kind of did the opposite. It made you realize that, people have needs and people need to be treated certain ways, no matter what color of skin they have, no matter what culture they come from. Everyone deserves that equality. So we've been talking about how, like media, we look at like a lot of popular media in today's society, movies, comics, books, things like that. They all kind of like add to the idea of racism and race and what it means to be black or African American, or what it means to be Asian or white, and kind of the perks or downsides of being those colors. But I thought like his pictures were really interesting because they kind of did the opposite. So how do you guys think the media could be used to, instead of build up racism and the idea of race, take away from it?
Well, I think his pictures are a good example of how it can, I don't know, they kind of...
I think pictures speak 1,000 words. He's making people aware of what's going on throughout different countries. Like, we don't live in this perfect world where things are happening, that we need to be aware of situations and take an action, I guess, if you can, helping others.
One of the things that I found was, like, my group this semester was Arab Americans. And one thing that I found is that oftentimes the media, they're portrayed as the stereotype of like terrorists and stuff like that. The TV series 24, all about that, right? And so I don't know, like I guess one of the things that media could do to kind of change the idea that we have is actually showing reality as like how it is. Like Arab Americans aren't always terrorists. And so I guess we showed Arab Americans in the way that they really are, as like the majority, right? Then it would help kind of deconstruct that idea that, Arabs are terrorists or violent. And I think the same would go for other races. If you kind of stop portraying the stereotypes so much in the media, you would help start to kind of tear those down and actually portray reality as it is.
I think it's interesting how the media has so much of an impact over what we think and what we believe about other people.
Oh yeah.
If we can, instead of media, you see the media as more of a negative side of things, and if it could be more of a positive situation, people would develop and have a different change or thinking of different race and ethnicities. It seems like we're always having a negative aspect on different races.